Hey guys, this is NitrousCorolla here, coming at you from, well, the Corolla with the nitrous. This month, or today, I guess I'm going to talk about one of the reworks. This guy, Ares, the God of War. I've heard some people kind of go, he's okay, and then, it seems like more people than that, or they really like him. I really like him right now. He might be one of my more favorite tunes now. He's definitely going to have a spot in my rotation, that's for sure. I really like this guy, enjoy him. Like I said before, I was just curious on non-PvP days, because I'm not level 80 and I don't have 30k power teams or nothing like that. I usually crack into the top 1500 on PvP days, or on the the Wraith boards, which once you do that, you're facing the 30k power teams. So I get demolished. So on non-PvP days, I will basically, I'll get one character and just kind of mess around on the PvP boards so I can lose and drop places. Because I hate when, it's, the Alliance days, PvP, and I can't do nothing but sit there and wait because I'm in the top 1500. So I just lose on the other days. And I was doing it with him the other day, and because I was just curious how he'd be. He has a leadership ability. So I was using him, and I think there was only out of a whole board, maybe 1 or 2 matches that I lost. And they were just a really tough team to begin with. I mean, it would have been hard to beat regardless of what team I had, but I was just going in with him solo, and I was still able to beat 8 or 9 of the, matches. Right before I won, though, I made sure I backed out and lost. That way I could actually lose. But he was just super tanky. And I mean, you just keep putting the, stamina ups on him, and it's just ridiculous how, much damage he can take after a while. But I guess we'll just get into it. His first ability here is his Battle Fist. It does damage to an enemy, and it can do up to a 60% chance to stun if Ares or the target is enraged. And the legendary on this is an additional 30% damage. Now, I will say this about Ares. He's a decent little versatile character too, is why I like him. He can work on, I think, is it both? Yep, so he can work against or with crit teams. He can work with or against enraged teams. He can work with people that need stamina ups, like say Giganta, or the new character Big Barda, or Lex Luthor. He also can work, he's a decent little addition to somebody if you want to make them strong. They need to be just a little bit stronger, not intelligence wise, because obviously he does strength ups, and that ain't gonna help, say Zatanna or something like that. But I found out that working him in with, say, a character like Flash becomes a kind of a monster, because, obviously after 2 turns, he's got an insane amount of speed ups. And if you use his Vortex, I mean, really any character that can get debuff immunity is awesome. What's it called? Oh, Red Streak, sorry. I have his legendary where he gets, debuff immunity. And characters that get debuff immunity are especially awesome, because I'll get to it in a second. His Death or Glory. I think this is one of his bread and butter moves, even though it's really not a move. It just kind of, but he can apply, looks like 6 strength ups. He enrages them, and what's this do? 35%, up to a 35% turn meter up to an ally. If the ally's HP is below 50%, he's going to apply death immunity. So that's really nice to, you got that one character who's, say below 50%. boom, you throw this at them. Well, now they have death immunity. You know, it's 100% death immunity. If they're below 50%, it will apply it. And they get strength ups and stamina ups. So you're going to make them just a little bit more tankier as well. Like I said, this is why this move right here it's awesome. I mean, this is why you can pair him with so many people. Like with Flash, because if you use his red streak and now he has debuff immunity, you can throw this on him. And guess what? He just gets the strength ups, the turn meter up, and the stamina ups, because his legendary is also applies 6 stamina ups. You know, so he gets death, say if he's below 50%, he gets stamina ups, strength ups, turn meter, but doesn't get the enrage if he has his debuff immunity. Which is awesome, because now you basically just beefed him up really good. I mean, and then he can just start hitting like a tank, especially when he starts doing all his, you know, 800 million punches every other turn. But because of this move, though, also, this is why he works well with people that need stamina ups, or people that just need that little extra bit. Like I said, Flash, or I always even enjoy putting him with World's Greatest Detective. Really anybody that benefits from strength ups is, you know, that could just use a little bit more. Or you could just say whatever to it and do. It's another nasty combination. It's like, you know, the Atrocitus Wonder Girl combo almost, except if you time it right, it can be better. Pair Ares with Wonder Girl. You know, if you use Wonder Girl's, was it her lasso? Not her whipping lasso, but her Boon of Olympus. There we go. Because look, she's already going to give, you know, strength ups to the whole team. So if you can get it where she does that, she'll have 2 strength ups already. And then if you throw, you know, the Death and Glory on her, she's going to have 6 more additional strength ups and enrage. And everybody knows that when this woman right here is enraged, this wonder combo is insanity. So she'll have a 35% crit chance if any target's above. But, you know, if I obviously have her legendary here, she does 50% additional damage on top of the 8 strength ups she'll have from her Boon of Olympus and Ares' Death and Glory, plus 100% damage, and can't miss if enraged, which she will be. Like I said, which them two can be a nasty combination. I mean, she can just, and because she's getting stamina ups, she now becomes a little tankier. A little, I mean, I don't mean tank, but she, you know, she's allowed to absorb maybe an extra hit or so. I mean, this guy's awesome. The Energy War Sword is his 3rd. And it does damage to all enemies, and it applies enrage to a random enemy. The legendary on here is apply buff immunity to target of enrage. I mean, that, I could see why that would be good. I just don't have place for it. Let's see here. His 4th is a passive, and this is why I said he works good with, you know, for or against enraged teams, or for or against crit teams. Is because of this passive, fueled by conflict. It's a passive, and at the end of every hero's turn, it's not just allies' turn, it's every hero's turn. If any hero was enraged or dealt a critical hit, Ares gains 1 permanent stand up, and it looks like up to a 7% turn meter up. I mean, 7% turn meter, it's that lackluster part. I mean, it's just, you know, it gives him that little bit where he gets 1 extra stamina up, and then so you don't have to use Death and Glory on him. That's what I said, he works good with enraged teams or crit teams, or against them, like say Atrocitus, because boom, look at all these people now. He's going to be getting stamina ups and turn meter up. Now, the upgrade on this is also gain a light heal. I mean, he's already a little bit of a tank. Or a decent tank, I should say, if you use the Death and Glory on him and use his leadership ability. So that light heal just makes him able to take that much more. Now, his leadership ability, before I get into it, there's one thing. This is the one thing I don't like about him. Before people freak out, it's not that I don't like the ability. I just don't like it when they give characters leadership abilities that has nothing to do with being a team leader. I mean, this does nothing for the team. It only benefits himself. I don't like characters that only benefit themselves. I like characters that their team ability does stuff for the team. Just because he's a rework this month, we'll go to this guy. You know, like his leadership ability is all allies gain this. At the start of each of your allies' turn, they gain hit chance up, and you know, and all allies also gain that. That's why I like those type of leadership abilities. And there's a few characters out there where I can't think of any off the top of my head who's like that. Let's see, who has that kind of... Is she like that? I think she's got that kind of crappy team leader ability. Yeah. So, like, Katana has that type of team leader ability. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that ability. I mean, I love the ability. I just don't like it when it's the team leader ability and it does nothing to the team. It only affects that character. I'm like, are they really being a team leader if they're only out for themselves? Whatever. That's something else. But his team leader ability is Ares' max HP increases by 80%, which is awesome. So this is why his team leader ability, if you use him, this is why he is tanky. If he's not, he's kind of you know why. So I can understand why some of the people don't really like him if they're not using his leadership ability, even though it's not a leadership ability, because he's really not that tanky if he's not using this. You know, at the beginning of his turns, he gains 2 strength ups, up to 3 strength ups, and looks like 15% turn meter up. So at the beginning of his turn, he can get up to 3 strength ups and 15% turn meter up if any hero is enraged, which is why he works well against and with enraged teams. It's like Atrocitus, you know, and nobody uses him but Sinestro, the Yellow Lantern. You know, Harley Quinn. Imagine getting Harley Quinn, Mad Jester, giving her the old death and glory. She's already, you know, hits hard. Imagine her with 6 extra strength ups. And, you know, she has her, you know, if you have her ability where she taunts from the, you know, turn 0, you know, she's going to be double tapping people with 6 extra strength ups. I mean, she's just... It's going to be ridiculous. Like I said, because, you know, she can enrage people as well, is why I mentioned Harley Quinn. The legendary for this is Ares' max HP increases by an extra 40%. At the beginning of his turns, 50% chance to gain debuff immunity. When I first saw his abilities a couple weeks ago, I was like, why do I want him to gain debuff immunity if he's going to enrage himself? You know, and he kind of works with being enraged or other characters being enraged. So I didn't really, I didn't care for that too much. But when I was playing with, I forget which character it was the other day. For instance, like the Flash, he's obviously one. But, you know, characters that give debuff immunity. At first I was like, well, that's kind of pointless because of what he does. Maybe is it this? Okay, yeah, because I have her legendary on this. This is how I remembered it. And with Wonder Woman, because, you know, she, you know, applies debuff immunity to all allies if you use her power of truth. And that's when I found out that, oh, the debuff immunity is actually kind of cool. Because at the beginning of his turn, if he has debuff immunity, you can, you know, throw Death and Glory on him. And like I said, with Flash and any other character that can get debuff immunity, he can, he gains all the stuff from Death and Glory without the enraged. So you can still control, I want to use energy sword or energy war sword or, you know, whatever. So, you know, it's actually not that bad. Now, the legendary order, I think there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I think everywhere I've seen, number 2 should be the first one you get. That's got to be, if you only get 1 point, that's the one you do. Give them that. Now I've seen some debates between the others. So we're not going to talk about Death and Glory because that's obviously his very first upgrade. And it's got a low cooldown. I think it's only like a 2-turn cooldown. Now I went with one first, you know, I guess second actually. I went with this one as his second ability for the additional 30% damaged because of the Death and Glory. And just because if you have him on call assist teams or anything else, I like characters' first ability. I like going with their, you know, first ability because it gets used, I would say, probably about more than most other moves. I like the first one if it's decent. 30% extra damage isn't that bad. He's not an overly, you know, strong character. He's not Wonder Girl or nothing like that. So even with his strength ups, that 30% extra damage is, you know, gives him that little bit more. And then, so that was 2. Then I just went with his leadership ability as his, you know, third upgrade because the debuff immunity and the 40% extra health. Now I've seen, I think some people say like go 2 and then do 5. I think that maybe, I don't know, is it 3 or, I don't know. But I know a lot of people don't seem to do the 1. I personally like the 1, but so me, I would say obviously just said 2's 1, then you do that one, then you do his leadership ability. The next one I would probably do his gain the light heal just because, just to make him that much harder to kill, just to make him that bit more of a tank. And then his energy war sword I would do last because the buff immunity to target of enrage, there's not, I could be wrong, but because they're going to be enraged, on their next turn they're going to be using their first ability. Most characters, not all, don't dish out a bunch of buffs on their, you know, their first ability. So now I got to look into it though, because if that lasts like say 2 turns, while the enrage only obviously lasts 1 turn, then okay, so when their turn comes back around, I can see that being very useful. But I honestly don't use his energy war sword all that much. I mainly just stick to good old Death and Glory over and over and over. You know, if I'm not using that, then I'm using Battle Fist. I'm not a big fan of enraging people. Sometimes it depends on the characters. If I know they can do a bunch of things, but like I don't use that if I'm going against Wonder Girl teams or Atrocitus teams, because I don't want to make them any stronger than what they really are. Nobody wants to purposefully enrage Wonder Girl against them, because she's just going to knock your team out. But besides that, I'm going to toss up between 3 and 4 which one to go next. I can see having that buff immunity would be good, but it's only to the enraged target. And then I just like his light heal because he's a bit of a tank, so I just want him more tanky. So I would definitely say, like I said, Death and Glory without a doubt is number 1. I mean, this is nice to have also. I mean, so it's a toss-up between 1 and 5, but I mean, I can see how you would. I mean, it all depends on what people you're facing. Me, like I said, I went with 1 as a second, then I went with this one. Then I would say Fueled by Conflict is 4th one, and then Energy War Sword. So me, I would say 2, 1, 5, 4, 3. But I mean, you can do them in. You can honestly do them in any order you want to. It just depends on what you want, what teams you're going against, or what you need on your team, things like that. Like if you don't have any tanks whatsoever, I would definitely say take this one second instead of his first ability. And then I would say take, this one next instead of his first ability. It depends on what you need on your team. I mean, but overall, this character's awesome. He can, like I said, he can fit on several teams, go against several teams. And if you're using his leadership ability, he can take some punches. Especially if you're using a Death and Glory on him. I try to use it on him as much as possible, but if I get that one character on my team where I'm like, he's about to die, I'll use Death and Glory on him just so that way they get the debuff immunity. Sorry, the death immunity, not debuff. But besides that, I mean, he's awesome. I think you should spend your time upgrading this guy, because he can do a decent amount. He's a bit of a tank sometimes if you're using, like I said, using his leadership. But that's it. Until next time, NitrousCorolla is out.